Okay, it's time to do a build for everyone's favourite Tevinter Mage. This is my Dorian build. Now, follow this as best you can. Probably works best if you have a Tactician's Renewal to, take a load of stuff at once. But bear in mind, I am level 24, 26 points to spend. That's from like Amulets of Power, and I'm deep within the End of Trespasser. So follow this guide as best you can. If you need to come back to it as you keep leveling, feel free to do so. And let's begin. The first skill I would take with Dorian is Barrier. I think it's a must-have for any mage. Basically just protects you, and I'd also take Elegant Defense. You've learned to cast Barrier with a more stable magical pattern. Each time a barrier you cast expires, the ability's cooldown is reduced. You could have Energetic Defense if you want, but I think having the ability to cast it more often is just a little bit better. So we're going to lock those two in. From there, we're going to come to my favourite mage ability, and that is Energy Barrage. This basically launches a barrage of elemental blasts from your staff, and not only do they hone in, kind of like a magic missile from Baldur's Gate 3, the energy itself is based on your staff. So if you have a fire staff, it would be fire. If you have an ice staff, it would be ice. It's a nice little way of if you have a load of fire abilities, but you have a lightning staff, having an extra lightning ability. We're also going to immediately take the upgrade of Energy Bombardment. Each hit from the Energy Barrage lowers the target's resistance to your staff magic type. Just a nice little way of effectively making sure your other attacks for a short while do even more damage. So we're going to get that locked in. We're also going to take my next favourite ability, and that is Chain Lightning. Pretty much speaks for itself, but we're also going to take Arcing Surge. So, Chain Lightning arcs further and hits more targets, kind of like a nice AoE ability, but without too much damage. Now, after that, we are going to come back into here and take Stormbringer. I think this is another must-have. And then once you have Stormbringer, we're going to come over for Peaceful Aura. This means that enemies are now less likely to hit Dorian in combat. Now from here, if you want to, you could take one of my other favourite spells in the game, and that is Immobilate. I think Immobilate is amazing, a huge damage dealing spell, and if you couple it with Wildfire, burns hotter and has a shorter cooldown time, and this is basically like a giant bomb. It's amazing. Now at this point, we do dip over into Dorian's Necromancy skill tree, and this is why I think this build works best with the Tactician's Renewal, because you can take all of this in one go and you can have an amazing ability. So we're going to start with Horror, and we're not going to worry with any of the upgrades for it. Horror itself, you unleash spirits of fear that terrify enemies within the area. We're then going to come over here and we're going to take Binding Terror. So you have learned to leave enemies vulnerable in their terror. Enemies that are panicked take increased damage from all attacks. And now why it's best if you can do all these in one go is so you can just work your way up both trees at the same time. If you can't, feel free to just continue down this order. So, Simulacrum. If you're knocked unconscious, a spirit you control takes on your likeness and fights on your behalf for a short time. The spirit draws magic directly from the Fade, casting spells without cost. You cannot be revived by any means until the spirit leaves. A really nice way of effectively just having extra damage and having a extra ally if Dorian is to go down. Really handy if you have like a dragon fight and Dorian gets knocked down, a spirit arises and will keep attacking. After that, we're going to take Walking Bomb. Pretty much does what it says on the tin. It's exactly the same as the Origins one, where when an enemy dies they explode into a mess of AoE damage. And we're going to pair that with Virulent. If Walking Bomb kills your target, the effect spreads to nearby enemies, causing secondary explosions. This plus Immobilate is incredible. Now, as you can probably guess, we are going to go to the other side of the tree and we're going to work our way down this as well. And we're going to take Death Siphon. Every time an enemy dies nearby, you regain both health and mana. Power of the Dead. Killing enemies attracts spirits that increase the power of your spells for a short time. And Spirit Mark. You mark a target with an attacking spirit, inflicting ongoing damage. If the target dies while marked, the spirit mimics the victim's body briefly to fight on your behalf. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. We are going to pair this with either Lingering Mask, so targets you kill with your Spirit Mark now fight for you for longer or harder, or Wisps of the Fallen. You can have multiple marked targets When a marked target dies, a wisp appears and attacks with you. So it kind of depends if you want one big one or lots of smaller few ones. Can't really go wrong. I personally prefer Lingering Mark, but the choice really is yours. Now at this point you've probably noticed we still have a bunch of abilities left and skill points we can spend, and that is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to come down here and we're going to take Conductive Current. So the more magical energy you expend, the more damage your spells do. Exactly like it says. We're going to pair this with Gathering Storm. You use your staff's energy to fill the area with sympathetic magic. Each basic attack shortens your active cooldown times. This, coupled with a Mobilate shortened cooldown time, and you're going to pop these so much. It's going to be incredible to see. Now, from there, we're going to confirm this quick. I pressed the wrong button. We're going to head back into our skill tree, and we're going to come over to Dorian again, as I get lost. And we're going to come back over to the fire one, and we're going to take Flashpoint. After you land a critical hit, your next spell cast doesn't trigger a cooldown period. Amazing. And from there, we're going to straight into Pyromancy. You have mastered the summon of fire, increasing your effectiveness when panicking or burning enemies. Really nice sort of like fire necromancy build we have going at this point. We're also going to take Chaotic Fire. When you cast a fire spell, the spell consumes half your current barrier to empower it. The larger the barrier consumed, the greater bonus to the spell's damage. Coupled with the reduced cooldown time, again, everything just works really like interchangeably. The synergy is amazing. And then from there we're going to take Fire Mine. You mark the ground with a glyph that's shortened time to prime. Once it's ready, it will erupt into flame when an enemy crosses it. And we're going to buff this with a Searing Glyph. Targets hit by Fire Mine are launched into the air and set aflame, leaving them burning. So overall we have this fire necrotic lightning based Dorian who can buff himself with his barrier to then do a huge amount of damage, can cool down his abilities and have abilities trigger more often, and can cause little summons to appear when he kills an enemy, can cause enemies to explode and then infect other enemies, and if he even dies, will have a summon rise from the ground. Overall it's an amazing build and it works so well. If you have Dorian with another mage, because I sometimes like using two mages in this game. I think two mages, one warrior and a rogue is a great team for this game. You can honestly just keep the barriers going. Dorian can siphon it for more power, keep the barrier going, more siphoning, quicker cooldowns. Dorian really can become just like a walking nuke. It's so good. Okay, when it comes to equipment for Dorian, this is what I tend to go for. I go for a staff that will allow me to put things on that will do attack percentage and critical damage, as well as boost my willpower. What I think is really important is when you do a masterwork, 10% chance to apply Walking Bomb. I think it's key to put that masterwork onto an item to trigger those walking bombs more often. But coupled with the grip and the blade I use at the end of the staff, all of this just couples into having Dorian have more attack, more critical damage, and more willpower so he can cast more spells. As I said, I think those are key. I believe this armor is like the armor of vestment, something like that. I can't quite remember, but that's what I would personally go for. Oh, sorry, that's the staff. The armor, I tend to go for something like this. Something that boosts my magic to therefore do more damage, boost my willpower to do more damage, increase my health pool, and on kill, plus 20 magic for 10 seconds. So when Dorian kills something, he becomes even stronger. Couple this with the imbued hat. Again, this isn't really key as I pressed the wrong button again. But it does just help a little bit. Plus 10% magic, bit more armor. Again, Dorian just becomes even more powerful. If we come into the character screen and we check out his attributes, you'll see that Dorian's power is very strong. 61 magic, we have a 74% chance of attack offense, critical damage is 105%. And even though the critical chance is low, the amount of attacks we'll do with energy barrage and immobilates and all that, that is a lot of damage that can be done. Now when it comes to items, there's only really two I'd fully recommend. Everything else you can kind of pick and choose as you please. The two I would strongly recommend though, personally, Superb Bell or Storm Pact, Electricity-based abilities are much more powerful at the cost of a large amount of health, and superb amulet of willpower. I think couple those two together and you have a very incredible Dorian build. So, I really hope you guys have enjoyed this build. If you have, let me know in the comments below what you think about it. If you're new and you're not subscribed but you'd like to, that'd also be amazing. Hopefully, I'll see you guys in the next build. Bye guys.